The DonutSMP has randomly become one of the most popular servers recently. Everybody and their mom is playing on it, so unless you live under a rock, you know what it is. Yo, wanna hop on DonutSMP? The what? I have never been on the DonutSMP, and there's only like 2 things I know about it. I know that DrDonut streams on the server and teleports to random people's bases, and that he has a shit ton of money. In this video, I only have one goal. Get DrDonut to notice me. But if I wanted to do that, I couldn't just walk up to him. I had to make something he couldn't ignore. So I decided, as a fresh player who knows nothing about this server, I was gonna build a massive base so unique he couldn't ignore it. And if that doesn't work, I'll find another way to get onto his stream. The first time logging on, my feelings were mixed. The chat was spamming like crazy, and this does not look like 28,000 people. I was completely bewildered and accidentally clicked on a random message in chat. What the heck? Which started teleporting me to someone.
What? No, I don't want a TPA request.
It probably almost got slimed. I used the only command I knew, which is RTP. Then I kept walking around and I realized I have absolutely no clue what I'm doing. But then I remembered how clicking on chat teleports you to people, and how somehow everyone wants to TP. I started spamming and begging in chat, and out of like 20 people who teleported to me, 1 gave me some free money.
Someone paid you 100k. Oh wow.
So thank you to this kind soul.
Thank you.
I was now sitting on 100k, and I had no idea if it was a lot or not. It seemed like a lot, until I learned the new command, /auction house.
Dude, are we serious right now? Does it actually cost that much? Oh my gosh, okay, my 100k is really nothing.
But regardless, free money is free money. But before I could thank the guy, my power randomly cut out. So I disconnected, but somehow it wouldn't let me on for the next 20 minutes. After logging on, the guy was gone. I was on my own, and I decided to look up some tutorials and learned several things. Firstly, /orders. I could gather nearly any material and sell it to someone who needed it for profit. This was a massive W. I also found a tutorial on how to install voice chat. This was not a massive W.
Where's my fly?
Okay, wait, repeat it to me, okay?
I don't saw them.
It's okay.
You paid them really good.
My ears were genuinely about to explode. I couldn't really scream at the moment, but trust me, if I could, I would. I eventually figured out how to turn the volume down, but legend says I never went to spawn again. I RTP'd and tried to do orders for a while, but shit like this kept happening.
What is going on, man?
After a while of this, I decided to just keep on begging again, and after getting a donation of a few more $100,000, I used them to buy a diamond pickaxe. As a new player, I had no idea what to buy, and the pickaxe just seemed like the best option because I could now mine ores pretty fast, and ores just seemed valuable to me. I started digging out a hole which unbeknownst to me was going to be my future base. I kept RTPing and trying to make money any way I could. At first I scavenged for ender chests and glowstones. I would mine them and sell them again. Little did I know this brought almost no profits. I mean, it's a PvP server, you can buy those super cheap in the shop. I returned to my hole, aka home, with the loot. I used the glowstone for the base, and the obsidian I sold, and only made 3k. Now even I recognize that this is not a lot. I needed to step up my game. I started selling ores and most importantly wood logs, which could get you 10k in just a few minutes. And now comes the stupid part. I meant to tell you this earlier, but there wasn't enough time. When I first joined this server, it was not to record a video. I genuinely just wanted to play and just happened to record the first few times. However, without the intent of making it into a video, I didn't record most things, and I have massive gaps of the story just missing. Yeah, so I'm just gonna try my best to articulate to you what happened. Emphasis on the word try. It's definitely not gonna be as good as seeing it yourself, but here it is. I realized the logs can be a good source of income. I spent a long time looking through the auction house and eventually bought the cheapest efficiency diamond axe and started chopping down the forests. I probably made a few $100,000s with this method, but I didn't do just this. I traveled around the map gathering anything that seemed to have any sort of value. Logs, dirt, cobblestone, saplings, mushrooms, anything. Eventually I managed to grind out enough to buy Wool! Yeah, a stack of really expensive wool. Why wool? Because scavenging was not going to make me money. I had a new plan. Nether. I was gonna go to the Nether and use beds to mine out tunnels, and never mind. The entire Nether is already mined out. But I already had the wool. I stuck with this plan anyways, as I had already paid for it. And turns out that I actually found netherite. Maybe like 5 minutes in, I found ancient debris, which I sold for nearly $1 million. However, for the rest of the hour I did not find anything. I used the money to buy another piece of equipment, a sword. But I was not going to stop there. I wanted to have full diamond gear with the best enchants because I was tired of getting pushed around by mobs. I looked through the auction house and each piece cost more than my entire net worth. But then I looked at the prices of enchanted books and armor pieces separately and realized, wait a second, it's way cheaper if you buy them separate and combine them yourself. And ladies and gentlemen, that's how my first business started. I realized swords were really overpriced on the market and that you could make them for way less than they sold for, if you just bought diamonds, enchanted books and combined them in the anvil yourself. The total cost turned out to be around 150k to 200k per sword at the start, because the longer I did this the better I learned to optimize, and the cost went down to around 100,000. At first I sold each sword for 300,000, they always sold almost instantly. I, as a true capitalist, raised the prices to 349,000. Sold instantly. 399,000. Sold instantly. 449,000. Sold. Not instantly, but all of them sold. I raised the price to 499,000, basically $500,000. It took a while now, but they all sold. This turned out to be the limit, as for 549,000, they sometimes sold, but many didn't. Now I was really mad at myself, cause I spent more than half of my time selling them for 300k, when I could have sold them for double. With this method, I became not rich, but not poor either. I could do some stuff now. With a few millions under my belt, I wanted to expand this base. I dug out a small hallway to the left to plant some sugarcane, but later it would turn into something much more. After all, I needed to impress DrDonut with it. But here I am, almost a brand new player on the DonutSMP. Not a lot of money and no building skills either. I was not capable of building anything grandiose or monumental or even beautiful. I just didn't know how. So I had another plan. I decided to mine out a huge area underground and make it look like the surface. I'm talking cherry trees, grass blocks, moss, a river, the sky. You didn't need any building skills, it was perfect. But thanks, how on earth are you gonna dig out an area so huge it feels like the surface? Well, you see, my dear viewer, on the DonutSMP there is this thing you can buy on the auction called Amethyst Pickaxe. It mines 3x3 and it's super fast. And I had enough money to buy it now, only problem, I did not know about it. So I went ahead and started digging the room one block at a time. Soon enough I realized this was taking way too long, so I at least had the idea to buy TNT. But even after 2 stacks, it barely did anything compared to what I wanted to do, and I still had to mine chunks myself. These stalagmites that were formed here, the roof, the ground and the walls to even it up. It took a long time. I added decorations, trees, a river, moss carpet, grass, and I kept doing my sword business, eventually doubling and even tripling my net worth, and even acquiring full netherite armor. Everything went well, until one moment. That ruined everything. I was kind of getting bored with making swords over and over, and I wanted a new money-making strategy. Base hunting. If I found a player's base, I could get an extreme amount of money, so I decided to use X-ray. But a regular X-ray resource pack wouldn't work, they only showed what was already uncovered. So I made a really bad decision. I loaded up Meteor Client in hopes that its X-ray would work better, or I could at least use FreeCam. Well, turns out that it detects the client and insta-bans you when you join. 2-week ban. I tried to make an appeal using the excuse that I wanted to play on 2D2T but misclicked on Donut, but as it turns out, bans are unappealable. Like, why the heck do you even have this button here then? Either way, this was the end. Surely when I joined back in 2 weeks my base would be gone, and it would be over. Except By the time I finished editing this video, way more than 2 weeks have passed. My base was still standing, but now I had a whole new set of challenges to worry about, like DonutSMP getting a big update, removing /shop which sold cheap XP bottles. My sword business collapsed overnight as I couldn't make them cheap without the XP anymore, and I still had my massive goal in front of me, getting on a DrDonut stream. So if this video gets enough likes, I will make a part 2, so subscribe.